All right, Ashley, it was good to have you
Thank
on
you.
an episode of Cliff's Notes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, honored to have you. So, tell me something that's notable that's going on in your life today.
Notable. Well, I'd say, Jason, my husband, and I, we own HTS Coatings, and I'd say notable is just that it's grown, and we last year celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And also notable, my oldest kid is graduating from high school in a few months too, so that's like an end of an era, like launching the first child out. And man, it's kind of sad, but then what is success? Like when your kids leave and are good people, and he's a hard worker and he's smart, so I can't ask for much more than that.
What's his name?
So his name's Robert.
Okay, so
Yep.
is Robert, what's he? So I know you mentioned HTS Coatings
Yeah.
already, but that's family-owned business.
It is a family-owned business.
And you're the big boss, right? You're
Right.
the CEO.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
So
Yep.
Robert's the oldest. Does
Robert's
he
the
have
oldest.
expectations of staying in the family business, or?
So not right now, actually. So he's worked for us. He'll tell you he worked for us since he was 12. It's debatable, but I mean, it probably true, really.
I've got one of those.
Probably true. We did homeschool our two oldest boys too, and they have been at the shop their entire lives.
Okay.
So probably really he did start at 12 years old, taking out the trash or whatever needed to be done. And today he actually works from 7 to 11 every day. He usually runs our mill, or he does do a little bit of blasting and some masking for our thermal spray shop too. But just whatever is needed, he's out there. And those guys love him. They love him. They'll say anything needs to be done, Robert will do it with a smile. So he just goes out there and does it. But yes, so Robert's graduating from high school, and then he has wanted to be a pilot for a long time.
Okay.
Specifically Southwest, I think, because that's all we ever fly. Living in St. Louis, Southwest is a hub. So
Sure.
I think that's all he's ever flown. So he wants to fly for Southwest. So he got into Liberty University, their aeronautical school there
Okay.
in Virginia. So that's where he's headed in the fall. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, maybe if he gets in and he's flying for Southwest, maybe you get some family points on that.
That's what he keeps saying. I'll fly you anywhere, Mom. It'll be fine. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Southwest goes to Hawaii. So, all right, buddy, fly me there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where you want to go, right? So HTS Coatings, tell me a little bit, just give me a little background. You are owner and CEO,
Yep.
founder as well.
Yep.
So give me a little background on that.
Well, our story is a little bit crazy too. So my husband worked for a company called St. Louis Metalizing. They do what HTS did or does. And back in 2015, they decided that the land that company was on was worth more money than the company was bringing in. So corporate decided to close the operation. And when they did that, our story is a little bit weird too. So we had just sold our house. We were going to build our dream house. We were living in a tiny home. And my husband comes home from work and is like, hey, instead of building a house, what do you think about going into business? I tell people it's the pregnancy brain, because I was huge pregnant too at this time too. So, and just, I love to paint the picture too. So tiny home in not a great part of town. So about 800 square feet, 2 kids, a dog, no garage, no basement, 1 bathroom. And then again, the older boys will tell you stories, but they'll say they peed outside more than they did inside because there was
Very possible.
the bathroom was always busy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I said yes.
And you said you're pregnant.
I was
at
pregnant.
that time
So
as well.
eight months pregnant.
Okay.
Yep. I said yes.
Not a lot going on.
No.
Seems like a great time to start a business.
Right. Yes. And actually, I kind of thought this might be just a whim, but just in case, I'll register for an LLC on LegalZoom. All right, let's just
LegalZoom.
LegalZoom.
Okay.
Yep, that's how we
The
started.
trusted legal provider.
We did. I think I got a coupon code.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. So just in case, in June of 2015, and then it just kind of went really fast. I gave birth, and then I went to the banks. I went to about 5 different banks trying to get an SBA loan. 5 different banks turned us down. And I was like, all right, well, that's it. We're done. Go interview with some other people and find a job,
Sure.
And then one bank just out of the blue called and was like, I read your business plan. I think I can close your loan. And so
Okay.
within 30 days, she had closed our SBA loan, which is
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unheard of. So,
Yeah.
and then we closed October 5th, and October 15th was the auction for all of the equipment that the company that my husband worked for went on. So we went over there, went to auction, bought a bunch of stuff. We moved it across the river to Illinois, and everybody's like, what? You had a business in Illinois? You know what? It just was, the rent was cheap and it just worked out.
What's the town in Illinois called?
So it's Madison, Illinois. Okay. So we can actually see the St. Louis Arch from our parking lot. So
is that also close to Alton?
It is. Okay. It is close to Alton. It's about 30 minutes from Alton.
An author that I follow by the name of Hugh Halter.
Okay.
That is in Alton. And I guess there's an old post office there that he's turned into a coffee shop. But anyways, that's for another conversation.
Yeah, but
that's a beautiful view.
I love a good coffee shop. So.
I know for a long time that's kind of been a maybe less desired part to be.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful area as far as the view and everything.
Yeah, and apparently the Eagles migrate in Alton.
Okay.
And that's the cool thing to go see in January.
All right. All right.
So go to get coffee and go see some Eagles.
Not the Eagles that are playing in Vegas at times.
No.
Actual Eagles, right?
Actual Eagles, yes. Bald Eagles, yes.
All right. So HTS Coatings were taking a launch.
Yep.
What year was that in?
So that was 2015.
Okay.
And then again, it just kind of blew up bigger than I ever expected it to be. Honestly, I thought that I was going to raise our kids and just maybe do the books. You know, that's what I was going to be for HTS. And I remember my husband and I read a book called Traction about EOS and all of, yes, very good book. And I remember we got to the part of the visionary integrator and he was like, Ashley, you are our integrator. And I'm like, oh, what? So I read over that and he was like, you need to take the reins of the company. He's like, I am really good with you taking over. And I always praise him for this too, for a man to say, you run it. You're better at people. You're better at business. I'll follow you. So that was really.
You mean for a man to finally admit
that
a woman is really the one that needs to take the reins, right?
Yeah. And not in every situation, but in our situation, it definitely works really, really well. I need him though. So we are definitely a team together. He brings that technology. If you talk to me about mixing metals and all, I know enough to be dangerous today, but he's really the one who said, thermal spray has a niche.
Yeah.
There's a need in the market for it. Let's do it. But then together, I think with my business sense, we were able to make it.
Because that was kind of his background.
That's right.
Because he was working in that space already.
Yep. He actually, his background, he started as a machinist out of high school and then became an engineer and all of that stuff. So he's worked his way up through the shop. When they did close his former company, he was the vice president there.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, he definitely has that knowledge, but
but it sounds like he also enjoys it. Like
yes.
Where he's like, okay, this is kind of more my thing.
Yep.
And this is kind of more your thing, and that's what you bring the strengths. And sounds
definitely.
like you all work together. I mean, for one, I also own a family-owned business, so to have the family be able to work together, stay together, that's huge.
It is.
You all have a big family. I mean, that's kudos to your all's character and hard work, really. It's not easy to do in general, but it's definitely not easy today in today's world.
It is not.
It's very challenging.
I think it's knowing each other's and respecting each other's strengths. Does that make sense too? Like, he admitted, you're better at this than me, and I'll admit he's better at the technical than me. So you want to sit come to our booth. I'll say it today, probably, like, just talk metal to me, okay, buddy, and just listen to him at the booth. Like, this is where he shines. Like when people are asking weird questions, but I'll bring them in like, hey, let's talk about thermal spray, again, enough to be dangerous. But then when it gets real technical, like, Jason, come on over here.
When they're migrating from your lane into his lane,
yes.
And you're like, hey, let me
introduce you to this man right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, it works really, really well. So I can't say that it's been roses. People will be like, oh, you guys do so well, but there are some stories too. Like
I can only imagine
some crazy things. I'll just tell a quick story. You tell me if I'm rambling too much, but
this is
when we were in the middle of the SBA loan, and I don't know if you've ever got an SBA loan, but it is stupid backwards sometimes. You have to pay an invoice before they reimburse you, and a lot of times it's for equipment that hasn't even shipped. And so my vendor is like, it's a pro forma invoice. Well, then the SBA voids a pro forma invoice and like, no, we can't. So then you're like, well, how do you get the funds in order to get this equipment, the down payment? It's dumb.
The
Anyways,
red tape can be a little bit
dumb.
thick. Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah.
We got a pro forma invoice. And I can't remember exactly all the things, but it was all of that. And I was like, it's fine. I'll call him, figure it out. And Jason says, I quit. And we had already pretty much signed on the SBA loan. We had cashed in our life savings, our 401k, everything. Everything was on the line. And I remember, and in my mind, it's probably a little bit different, but I remember I was like almost like the Hulk, and I grabbed him by the collar and like, don't you dare say you quit again, buddy. We have come too far. And he was like, oh my gosh, okay.
That's awesome. I'm glad
We're too far
we now have that story forever on video. Yes.
And in my mind, I probably put him against the wall, but it probably wasn't anything like that,
That's at least what you're telling. That's that's your story, right?
That's in my story.
That's my truth, and I'm sticking to it.
Right. Yep.
So we mentioned HTS does do thermal coatings.
Yep.
So, thermal coatings are applied for various reasons.
Yes.
Just talk a little bit about, and you mentioned niche.
It is,
so
very
what's
much.
some of the very specific things that HTS does really, really well?
Sure. So couple of things. So thermal spray is in nearly every industry. So you just have never heard of us. We're deep in mines, deep in power plants, and we're making things run longer and better. So usually our niche is to reduce maintenance cost and increase production time. So probably one of the coolest things that we did is just in 2019, again, Jason was doing some research and found this new technology called HVAF. So it stands for high velocity air fueled. So usually it's oxygen fueled, but if you put oxygen in metals, it oxidizes and it becomes a little bit more brittle. So we invested in the HVAF unit, and today I say this, and I'm going to say this at the booth all week. HTS Coatings is one of the only companies in the United States that has 3 of these units operating, and we are pretty full booked with those units because this coating is a superior coating. And then in about 2 years ago, we developed a proprietary coating. We call it BTHC. So kind of a fun thing.
BTHC.
Okay. 005, again, some technical term, how many times we tried it and whatever. Okay. But what thermal spray does is we spray paint with molten metal. So we take any metal you can get in powder or wire form and we spray it out of our gun, usually at about Mach 2, and it hits that substrate and builds up a protective coating. So this BTHC, we've actually mixed a few metals together and have come up with a solution to hard chrome. Okay. So if you're getting something chromed today, we can spray a coating that will make it better than chrome. Chrome is inherently cracked, and our coating is nearly impermeable, so 0% porosity. We put it in a 1,000-hour salt fog test, and absolutely no rust blooms, nothing. So we're pretty excited about it. Again, it's just kind of a mix of metals and a mixed material. We are using that HVAF system, again, that new technology, so that our coating is actually a little bit more ductile too. If you can call, a really hard metal ductile,
right,
but it is just a little bit more.
So like when we say chrome, a lot of times when I think of like a chrome rim, like for my car.
Yes.
But when we're saying chrome in this world, like something we might think of as chrome would be the chrome coating on an airliner for their landing gear.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yep.
So that's something that probably people set in a plane. We mentioned Southwest.
Yep.
You're getting ready to fly. You see the plane next to you and you just look at the landing gear and you just look at those things and you don't really think about what all went into how that was made per se.
That's exactly right.
But that landing gear goes through a fair bit of potential wear.
Fatigue,
because
yes.
it's going in and out,
Yep.
in and out. It's also beneath of something that's very, very heavy and is landing hard at times. So how does the coating that's going on when I look at that landing gear and I see the chrome on it, what is that doing when you say it prevents the wear?
So because it's such a hard metal, that's how it prevents that wear.
Okay.
Is because it's harder than chrome. And again, chrome has those cracks in it. So moisture or air will get through to the substrate And that's where we are different because there's no getting through. It's basically sealed.
Yeah. And so on that cylinder, when it is reciprocating, going up and down, there's fluid in there, right?
Yep.
And if there's a crack and there's a failure, then what that means that hydraulic would actually fail, correct?
That's exactly right.
And
or
so,
your seals could,
Yeah. So then when your landing gear were to touch down, it would not be good because you would have you could potentially have a failure.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when we're talking about thermal coatings and chromes and all that stuff, there's a lot of stuff we use day to day.
Yes.
That we don't really have any idea where something like this is going into it.
Yep, that's exactly right.
What's something else that I might use today, like before the day's over, that you're like, yeah, that's got thermal spray in it somewhere?
Oh, so there's many things, but really, I did a presentation too for our internal guys too, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't know where this ends up. But in 2020, we are in oil and gas. So if you pumped gas, we had a part in it. More than likely, there's deep in the ball valves or
in the actual gas in the gas pump.
No.
Or in the oil, like in the oil rigs.
refinery.
Okay.
Yep.
So whenever we're bringing the oil out of the ground, there's some valves and seats in there,
and the
that may be
slurry
coated.
there too. Yep. So the valves. Yep, we're coating those. So ball valves, all that stuff too.
So for all the Landman fans out there,
yes,
HTC Coatings or HTS. Sorry, HTS Coatings is somewhere in what we're seeing on Landman, right?
Definitely that. And then bottle manufacturing, so glass manufacturing. If you drink a beer, so the mold and it's called a scoop. So where the molten glass flows through down to the mold, we actually coat that too. So there's that. What else? So some green energy. We're really big in green energy. So if you live in California and you ate a frozen pizza and you didn't experience food poisoning because of brownouts, we probably helped you with that.
Okay.
So
Wow.
isn't that weird?
All right.
But yeah, so we're making some stuff that's helping for green energy again when there's brownouts in California.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'd be remiss if I didn't talk just a little bit about tungsten, because
absolutely.
tungsten is my space,
and we love it, but we hate it right now.
Okay,
so expensive.
Yeah, it's not getting cheap.
No,
it's not getting cheap. So let's talk about maybe what China is doing, the position they're taking. I mean, really all the metals that we're talking about that we deal in, whether it's cobalt, tungsten, nickel, it's all in some potential trouble right now with what's going on between, well, let's just say the Western world and China. So how is that impacting you? Are you all do you have some flexibility to be able to move around? Because prices for commodities are going through the roof right now.
That's right. Yes. So what we're doing is we are trying to offer an alternative to tungsten.
Okay.
Because, tungsten is really that premium coating. Really it is. And most of the time our customers...
Why would you say that tungsten is premium?
Probably because it's longevity. Again, it's that hard coating that makes those pistons and that hydraulic last. We need that tungsten too. But there are other things that can last just as long. So maybe an alternative to it. That's really what we're looking at now. So again, how we made that BTHC is mixing those metals. How can we get a mixture of metals that would act like tungsten and maybe not be as expensive?
Yeah.
And then also too, sometimes it's just educating our customer. They think that they need the premium coating, but maybe they don't need it. And I mean, I'd love to sell the premium coating, but right now, it's a lot to say this is how much it's going up.
Yep.
It goes up every single day. It feels like we get a quote for tungsten. So how do we combat that?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like you're trying to figure out what is a must.
Yep.
Like, in other words,
right.
Okay, only tungsten will do this.
That's exactly right.
So you can't compromise that.
Right.
But is there like a good enough that will, it might not give you the exact performance, but it's not going to fail on you.
Right.
And then we can go that direction.
Right.
I think in the tungsten world, one of the things that I'm concerned about for the future is that's probably the biggest threat, is that it would be what we would basically the good enough category.
Yeah.
And that's not only in thermal sprays. That would be like you're familiar with like cutting tools,
Yep.
drills and
Yep.
inserts, things of that nature. There's other products that are made from steel, more steel than tungsten, but it does have some tungsten in it. You probably heard of high speeds or tool steels.
Yep.
And we are seeing people go away from tungsten because, like you said, is tungsten the number one performer? Yes, it is.
I agree. Yep.
But it's like, hey, if I have to swap this part a few more times or do this just a little bit different, number one, my customer will still buy it.
Right.
Because that's another thing. You can't stay in
Right.
business if it becomes unaffordable.
Right.
So I think those are the challenges that we're going to be facing in this kind of new commodity world that we're in. That
Yeah.
something that we've known to be a really good product that we've always thought was expensive, but now we're finding out just how expensive it can be.
Right.
And is that really going to hold, or are we going to see a real correction to some sense of what I would say normalcy? Because
Right.
it's not normal right now.
Yeah. I would love to hear do you think it's going to come back to normal?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So as long as the Chinese have their quotas on the export, and I think that's gonna stay, because one of the working theories that we've talked about is that we're likely in a critical raw material Cold War.
Yeah.
So if you say, like, for example,
I've never heard it explained like that
yeah,
before.
so
but that
like,
makes
for
a lot of
example, you
sense.
can talk about missiles and this and that, whatever, but if you don't have chips, you're not, with today's technology, because we don't use dumb technology anymore. Everything is so advanced. Everything has to have a microchip in it. Well, what do they coat all those chips with?
Mm-hmm.
Tungsten. So there's all these little elements that go into being what we call a modern society today that revolves around these critical raw materials. My personal opinion is that China has seen the light, that they actually control the majority of those concentrates in the ground. And they're like, we're not going to just dump like we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
President Xi seems to be very much in control. When I say directly in control, I mean, people think Donald Trump is a control freak, but he doesn't have his hand on things like people really think. If
Mm-hmm.
you look at what's going on in China, I mean, it's
Right.
very, very, very direct. So as long as that stays that way, I don't really see how the price can come back down, because as you see, because you have a supply chain where you're out trying to buy tungsten in some form, whatever
Mm-hmm.
form you bring it in. And right now, if I say, hey, well, let's just bring in some phones here and start calling and seeing what people's availability is, people will be like, I don't have it. Or I talked to a customer the other day that is a tungsten powder manufacturer in the West. They're sold out.
Yep.
For 2020, for all of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to have a major influx of some kind of raw material, and that would have to come from China. And I don't think they're willing to do it, especially as long as Trump and Xi are in the positions that they're in.
Yeah.
So we'll see. In the
Yeah.
meantime, we will stay agile and flexible and figure out solutions.
Right. Recycling it. Yes.
Recycling
Yep.
it will solution
Yeah.
for our customers, try to be customer obsessed. And I don't like, that people are having to evolve away from tungsten, but I understand that people have to, you got to do what you have to do.
Yeah. And some of our customers won't, they will not.
Yeah.
And they'll pay it, they'll pay whatever if we can get it. And that's the other issue too, that you touched on too, is just that lead time to get it in is longer than we've ever seen before.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been great to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you.
What a success story. I mean, we're
still going.
it's very much the American dream. So you have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
And been an honor to have you on Cliff's Notes, and we look to hear from you sometime again in the future.
Sounds great. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes.